Marcus Chen, a 35-year-old financial analyst, received devastating news 3 weeks ago that would change his life forever. The diagnosis came swift and brutal: an 8mm kidney stone lodged in his ureter, causing severe hydronephrosis. His kidney was swelling dangerously as urine backed up with nowhere to drain. The urologist's words echoed in his mind with crystal clarity. Without surgical intervention within 2 weeks, you're looking at permanent kidney damage. This isn't something we can wait on. The procedure would cost $12,000 after insurance deductibles. Marcus wasn't worried initially. He and his wife Elena had meticulously built an emergency fund over 5 years, carefully setting aside $15,000 for exactly this type of situation. The account sat in both their names, though Marcus had contributed roughly 90% of the total. Elena earned a respectable salary but had always been more of a spender than a saver. Marcus took pride in his financial discipline, knowing that rainy day fund would protect them when they needed it most. That evening, Marcus came home and shared the news with Elena, his wife of 3 years. "Surgery scheduled for next Friday," he said, setting his briefcase down. "It'll cost $12,000, but we've got the emergency fund. That leaves us with a $3,000 cushion." Elena's face drained of color so quickly Marcus thought she might faint. The transformation was instant and alarming. "About that," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus felt his stomach drop. "About what?" "The emergency fund. I used it." Several seconds passed while Marcus tried to process what he'd just heard. "Used it? What do you mean you used it?" "My sister needed help with her wedding. The venue demanded full payment up front and she was short. It's her dream wedding, Marcus. I couldn't let her down." Marcus stared at his wife, unable to comprehend what he was hearing. "You gave our emergency fund to your sister for a wedding." "Loaned," Elena corrected quickly. "I loaned it to her. She'll pay us back after the honeymoon." "When is the wedding?" "Saturday. 2 weeks from now." Marcus calculated quickly. "I need surgery next Friday. 6 days before her wedding." "Right, so that's actually perfect timing," Elena said, her tone suggesting she'd solved the problem. "You can wait until after the wedding. Then she'll pay us back and you can have the surgery the following week." Marcus needed her to understand something crucial. He wasn't dealing with minor discomfort. Blood appeared when he urinated. Random fever spikes hit him without warning. Pain would strike so intensely he'd collapse to his knees. His doctor had explicitly stated that waiting could cause irreversible kidney damage. "I can't wait," Marcus said slowly, choosing each word carefully. "My kidney is failing." "It's not failing," Elena shot back. "You're being dramatic. It's just a stone. People deal with kidney stones all the time. My sister's wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event. So is having functioning kidneys." Elena became defensive immediately. She accused him of being selfish, of not understanding that family comes first. Her sister had spent 2 years planning this wedding and couldn't afford to lose the venue deposit. Everything was always about him, she claimed. "How much did you give her?" Marcus asked. $14,000. "You gave her $14,000 for a wedding? Without asking me?" "It's not giving, it's loaning. And I don't need your permission to help my family. It's our emergency fund. I need emergency surgery. You can wait 1 more week. Stop being so dramatic. It's her special day." That conversation happened on Tuesday. By Thursday morning, Marcus was in the emergency room. His fever had spiked to 103 degrees. He couldn't stop vomiting. The back pain was so intense he couldn't walk. The medical team admitted him immediately after seeing his blood work. Sepsis. The infection from his blocked kidney had entered his bloodstream. They rushed him into emergency surgery that night. Marcus spent 3 days in the intensive care unit, fighting for his life. The doctors managed to save his kidney, but barely. The damage was done. The bill arrived shortly after, $47,000 before insurance. With insurance covering what it could, Marcus still owed $18,000 out of pocket. Emergency care fell under different deductibles with higher patient responsibility. Elena visited once during his hospital stay. She brought gas station flowers and said she was glad he was okay. Then came the question that made Marcus's blood boil. Did you really need to be so dramatic about the timing? Her sister's wedding is in 2 days and this is causing unnecessary stress for everyone. Marcus asked where she thought they'd get $18,000. We'll figure it out. Payment plan or something. The important thing is you're fine now. The important thing is you stole our emergency fund and nearly killed me. I did not steal anything. I helped my sister. You're being absolutely ridiculous. A nurse standing nearby gave Marcus a look that clearly communicated her thoughts on the situation. Elena left after 20 minutes, explaining she needed to get to the rehearsal dinner. That's when Marcus called a divorce attorney from his hospital bed. The initial consultation covered everything. The attorney listened carefully, taking notes as Marcus explained the situation. Do you have proof she took the money without your consent for a non-emergency purpose? Bank statements show the withdrawal. Text messages where she admitted it. Did you contribute most of the funds? About 90%. I have deposit records going back 5 years. And her sister? Did she know this was your emergency medical fund? My wife told her it was extra money we had saved. But I have texts where I told my wife explicitly it was for emergencies only. The attorney paused. We can file for divorce on grounds of financial infidelity. We can potentially sue the sister for conversion of funds if she knew or should have known the money wasn't freely given. It won't be cheap, but you have a strong case. Do it, Marcus said without hesitation. All of it. The attorney emailed the retainer paperwork within an hour. Marcus signed everything on his iPad from his hospital bed, for still attached to his arm. The divorce filing went in Friday morning. His attorney also drafted a demand letter to Elena's sister, return the $14,000 within 10 days or face a lawsuit for conversion and fraud. The server delivered the divorce papers to Elena at her sister's wedding venue on Saturday afternoon, right in the middle of ceremony setup. Marcus's phone exploded with calls and messages. He was still hospitalized, still on 4 antibiotics, still in considerable pain. But he answered Elena's call because he wanted to hear her reaction. What the hell is wrong with you? Elena was screaming. You're filing for divorce at my sister's wedding. You stole our emergency fund while I needed life-saving surgery, Marcus said calmly. Yes, I'm divorcing you. I didn't steal anything. I was helping my sister. And I'm helping myself out of a marriage with someone who values a party more than my life. This is sick. You're doing this to ruin her wedding. Actually, the timing is coincidental. The paperwork takes a few days to process. I filed Wednesday from my hospital bed while you were at the rehearsal dinner. Silence filled the line. You've been planning this, Elena said finally. Since I told you to wait for surgery so my sister could have her special day. Yes. I hate you. That's fine. Your sister is getting served Monday. Demand letter for the $14,000. She has 10 days to return it or I'm suing her too. You can't do that. My lawyer says I can. Something about conversion of funds and fraud. He seemed pretty confident. Elena hung up. She called back 3 minutes later, her tone completely different. She was crying now, begging. Please, please don't do this. We can fix this. I'll get the money back. I'll talk to her. Just please don't ruin her wedding. Her wedding is not my problem. My kidney damage, my $18,000 hospital bill, my broken marriage. Those are my problems. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I'll make it right. You told me to wait for surgery. While I was passing blood, while my kidney was failing, you chose a party over my health. We're done. But I love you. You love your sister's wedding more. That's been made extremely clear. Marcus hung up and blocked her number. He informed the nurses not to allow her to visit anymore. 3 days later, Marcus was discharged from the hospital. His brother Daniel offered him a place to stay while he recovered. The divorce proceeded on schedule. Elena's sister's wedding was supposed to happen the next day, but Marcus suspected it wouldn't. His suspicion proved correct. When Marcus's attorney sent the demand letter to Elena's sister, she panicked immediately. She called the venue asking if they'd received any unusual legal correspondence. They had. Marcus's attorney, being thorough, had copied them on the demand letter as professional courtesy to inform them that payment for their services was now subject to legal dispute. The venue placed an immediate hold on everything. No setup, no service, no ceremony until the payment issue was resolved to everyone's satisfaction. Their contract apparently included a clause specifically addressing disputed payments. Elena's sister called her in a complete panic. Elena then called Marcus using her mother's phone, since he still had her blocked. "You need to drop this right now. The venue won't let her have the wedding." "That's unfortunate," Marcus replied. "Maybe she should return the $14,000 she took from a medical emergency fund. She spent it. The deposits are non-refundable. She can't get it back. Sounds like her problem. You're ruining her life. She helped ruin my kidney. We're even." Elena started crying harder. "Please. She's my baby sister. This is her dream. Can't you just let this go? Can you give me back my healthy kidney? Can you erase the sepsis?" "No." "Then no, I can't let this go." Elena tried guilt. "She didn't know you were that sick. I told her it was just a routine procedure." "So you lied to her about stealing our emergency fund. That's not making this better for you." "I didn't steal anything." "Yes, you did. And now you're both dealing with consequences. Welcome to adulthood." The wedding was postponed. Elena's sister managed to negotiate with the venue. They would hold the date for 90 days if she could prove the payment was legitimate. That meant if the lawsuit was dropped. Marcus had no intention of dropping anything. Then Elena's mother called. Marcus didn't recognize the number, so he answered. "You need to stop this nonsense immediately," she demanded without preamble. "Hello to you too," Marcus said. "My daughter is devastated. Her sister is hysterical. You're destroying this family over money. Over $14,000 that was stolen from me while I needed emergency surgery." "Yes. It wasn't stolen. It was borrowed. Family helps family. Then family should have helped with my medical bills instead of a party. A wedding is not just a party. It's a sacred commitment." "So is marriage," Marcus countered. "Your daughter violated that when she prioritized her sister's wedding over my life. You're being vindictive and cruel. She made a mistake. And I'm making sure mistakes have consequences. If you don't drop this lawsuit, You'll what? Sue me? Go ahead. I have bank records, text messages, and medical documentation. My attorney would love the extra billable hours." She sputtered, unable to form a coherent response. "You're supposed to be family. Family doesn't let family go into septic shock for a wedding venue deposit." Marcus hung up and blocked that number as well. Elena had moved in with her sister. They were splitting a one-bedroom apartment because neither could afford anything better. Elena's paychecks were going entirely to credit cards she'd maxed out trying to fix the situation. She'd been paying vendors who wouldn't refund deposits, covering her sister's portion of rent, and dealing with mounting interest charges. She tried to access their joint checking account and discovered Marcus had already been to the bank. His attorney had advised him to immediately remove his portion and close his access. Marcus couldn't legally drain a joint account completely without consequences, but he withdrew his 50% and moved it to a new account in his name only. He left her half completely untouched. Elena called it financial abuse. Marcus's attorney called it protecting assets during divorce proceedings. A judge would ultimately decide, but probably wouldn't look favorably on someone who had already drained their emergency fund for a non-emergency. The divorce was moving quickly. They had no children and no shared property. The apartment lease was in Marcus's name only. Elena had moved in after they married. They just needed to split some assets and settle accounts. Elena's attorney was pushing hard for spousal support. Marcus's attorney was pushing for reimbursement of the stolen emergency fund. The battle lines were clearly drawn. The real drama escalated when Elena's sister showed up at Daniel's house where Marcus was staying. He had no idea how she'd gotten the address. Marcus was on the couch watching television, still recovering, when Daniel answered the door. "Is he here?" I need to talk to him. Who are you? Daniel asked. His wife's sister. I need to talk to him. It's important. Daniel looked back at Marcus. Marcus shook his head firmly. Daniel started closing the door. She stuck her foot in the doorway. Wait, please. Just 5 minutes. Lady, you need to leave, Daniel said. I'll give the money back. Just drop the lawsuit. Please. That got Marcus's attention. He stood up slowly, still sore from everything. You'll give back the full $14,000? Yes. Well, mostly. I can give back $8,000 right now. The rest over 6 months. So no, you can't give it back. I'm trying, but the lawsuit is ruining everything. The venue won't work with me. My fiancé's family is asking questions. His mother thinks I'm financially irresponsible. You took $14,000 that wasn't yours for a wedding. You are financially irresponsible. I didn't know it was your medical money. Your wife said it was just extra savings. And you didn't question why someone would loan you $14,000 of extra money, interest-free. She teared up. I thought she was being generous. I thought you guys were well off. We were. Until you took our emergency fund. I'll pay you back. I promise. Just drop the lawsuit. You just said you can only give me $8,000 now. Where's the other $6,000 coming from? My fiancé is helping. And my parents. And I'll get a second job. Your fiancé, the guy you're trying to marry. He knows about this. He's being really understanding. He knows it was a mistake. Does he know your sister let her husband go into septic shock to pay for your venue? Her face crumbled completely. That's not, she didn't mean. Yes, she did. She explicitly told me I could wait for surgery until after your wedding. In those exact words. I'm sorry. I didn't know. None of this was supposed to happen like this. But it did. So here we are. What do you want from me? The $14,000. Today. In full. Then I'll consider dropping the lawsuit. I don't have it. Then I guess the lawsuit continues. My medical bills don't care about your wedding timeline either. She left crying. Daniel closed the door and turned to Marcus. That was cold. She helped put me in the hospital. She didn't know. Doesn't matter. Actions have consequences. Daniel didn't argue further. He just grabbed Marcus a beer and they went back to watching television. 2 days later, Elena's attorney sent over a settlement proposal. The terms were ambitious. She wanted 50% of all marital assets, which seemed fair on the surface. She wanted 50% of Marcus's retirement account, which he would probably lose. She wanted $2,000 monthly in spousal support for 2 years, which was absurd. She wanted Marcus to drop the lawsuit against her sister, which was absolutely not happening. She wanted to split the medical bills 50-50, which was hilarious considering she'd caused them. Marcus's attorney sent back a counteroffer. 50% of marital assets minus the $14,000 stolen from the emergency fund. Elena would pay back her half of the emergency fund, $7,000, since she had equal access and equal responsibility. No spousal support due to financial infidelity. Elena would pay 75% of the medical bills since her actions directly caused the emergency. The lawsuit against her sister would continue regardless of any divorce settlement. They were headed for court. Neither side was budging. Marcus's attorney warned him they'd probably end up somewhere in the middle. Marcus might have to give up some retirement funds. He probably wouldn't get spousal support. The medical bills might split 50-50. But the emergency fund theft was thoroughly documented, so that claim was solid. The lawsuit against Elena's sister was completely separate from the divorce. That was proceeding no matter what happened with the marriage dissolution. Elena's sister's attorney sent a letter asking to settle, offering $8,000 paid over 12 months. Marcus's attorney responded with $14,000 plus interest and legal fees, paid in full within 30 days, or they'd see them in court. Their response came quickly. Our client cannot meet those terms. Marcus's attorney's response was equally brief. Then prepare for trial. A trial date was set for 8 weeks out. Small claims court had a $10,000 limit in their state, so they were going to district court. More expensive for everyone involved, but Marcus wanted the full amount plus damages. Elena sent one final text from yet another number before Marcus blocked it. "I hope you're happy. You've destroyed everything." Marcus replied simply. "You destroyed my kidney. I just destroyed your sister's wedding timeline. Still think I came out worse." The courtroom reckonings. 6 weeks later, Marcus found himself in court for both the divorce hearing and the lawsuit against Elena's sister. Different judges, same week. The timing created absolute chaos in his life, but he was determined to see both through to the end. The divorce hearing came first. The judge was a woman in her 60s who looked tired, like she'd seen every possible variation of human behavior and was no longer surprised by anything. Both attorneys presented their cases. Elena's attorney painted Marcus as vindictive and cruel, punishing his wife for trying to help family. She showed text messages where Marcus had been cold and unforgiving, refusing to show any compassion. Marcus's attorney showed bank statements, medical records, and text messages where Elena admitted taking the money. She showed the messages where Elena told Marcus to wait for surgery. She presented hospital bills and documentation of sepsis. The evidence was overwhelming. The judge read through everything carefully, then looked up at Elena. "Mrs. Chen, did you withdraw $14,000 from your joint emergency fund to pay for your sister's wedding?" "Yes, but..." "Did your husband need emergency surgery at the time?" "It wasn't an emergency. He was being..." "Ma'am, I have medical records here indicating septic shock and emergency surgery to save his kidney. That is by definition an emergency. Did you know he needed surgery?" "Yes, but the wedding was..." "I don't care about the wedding. Did you withdraw marital funds for a non-emergency purpose while your husband faced a medical emergency?" Elena started crying. "I was trying to help my sister." "That's not what I asked." "Yes," Elena whispered. "But I was going to pay it back." "When?" "After the wedding. My sister was going to..." "Your sister? Not you. You took $14,000 and expected someone else to repay it." Silence filled the courtroom. The judge reviewed both proposals again, taking her time. "Here's what's going to happen. Marital assets will be split 50-50, except the emergency fund contribution. Mr. Chen contributed approximately $13,000 of that fund over 5 years. Mrs. Chen contributed approximately $1,000. Mrs. Chen will repay her equitable share of the emergency fund that was withdrawn. $7,000, to be deducted from her share of marital assets. No spousal support. Each party pays their own legal fees. Medical bills will be split 60-40, with Mrs. Chen paying 60% due to her direct contribution to the emergency that caused them." Elena's attorney objected immediately. The judge shut her down. "Your client took emergency money while her husband needed emergency care. She gambled that it wouldn't be a real emergency. She lost that gamble. These are consequences." Marcus's attorney looked pleased with the outcome. Marcus just felt exhausted. Elena left the courthouse without looking at him. Her attorney looked annoyed. Marcus ended up with 60% of their marital assets, which wasn't much since they didn't have significant wealth. He kept his full retirement account. Elena owed him approximately $3,500 after everything was calculated. She was also stuck with 60% of his medical bills, roughly $11,000. The divorce was finalized. Done. Over. Marcus felt nothing but relief. The lawsuit against Elena's sister was scheduled for 2 days later. She showed up with her fiancé, who looked absolutely miserable. She looked like she'd been crying for 6 weeks straight, which she probably had been. Her attorney tried to argue she had no knowledge the money was from a medical emergency fund, therefore no fraud had occurred. Marcus's attorney showed text messages between Elena and her sister where Elena said things like, "Don't worry about paying it back right away. Take your time." This proved Elena had intended it as a gift, not a loan, without Marcus's consent. Marcus's attorney also showed that Elena's sister had texted Elena asking, "Is Marcus okay with this?" Elena had responded, "He will be once he sees how happy you are." The judge looked at Elena's sister. So you did question whether the money was freely given. I just wanted to make sure. But you accepted it anyway, despite your concerns. My sister said it was fine. Your sister, who didn't have sole ownership of the funds. Did you attempt to verify with the other account holder? No, but. So you took $14,000 from a joint account without confirming both parties consented. Her attorney jumped in with technical arguments about married couples and shared assets. The judge wasn't having any of it. Community property doesn't mean one spouse can unilaterally gift marital funds without the other's knowledge, especially when those funds were designated for a specific purpose. The plaintiff has documentation showing the emergency fund was explicitly discussed between spouses as untouchable except for emergencies. The defendant's sister violated that agreement. The defendant accepted funds she had reason to believe might not be freely given. That's conversion. The judge ruled in Marcus's favor. $14,000 plus court costs and 6% annual interest from the date of withdrawal. The total came to $14,340. Elena's sister would make payments of $400 monthly until paid in full, starting immediately. If she missed payments, her wages would be garnished. Her attorney asked for 30 days to appeal. The judge agreed but specified that payments would start regardless. If they won the appeal, Marcus would refund the money. If they didn't win, she would keep paying. They didn't appeal. They couldn't afford it. Outside the courthouse, the fiancé approached Marcus while Elena's sister was still crying with her attorney. "This is going to bankrupt her," he said. "She took $14,000 that wasn't hers. She didn't know it was your medical money. She didn't ask. We're supposed to get married next month. Small ceremony, courthouse thing. We can't even afford that now. Shouldn't have spent $14,000 on a venue you couldn't afford." The fiancé got angry. "You got your judgment. You won. Can't you just let this go?" "Why would I?" "Because you're ruining our lives. She helped ruin my kidney. Your fiancé's sister nearly killed me. I spent 3 days in intensive care. I have permanent kidney damage. I'm still in pain. I'll be paying medical bills for years. But sure, I'm the bad guy for wanting my money back." He didn't have a response. He just walked back to his fiancée, defeated. Elena texted Marcus from her mother's phone one final time. "I hope you're proud of yourself. My sister is devastated. Her fiancé is having second thoughts. You've destroyed her life." Marcus didn't respond. If he had, he would have said she destroyed his kidney and he just destroyed her wedding budget. Fair trade in his mind. He blocked the number and moved on. 3 months later. 3 months passed since the court rulings. Marcus decided it was time for a final accounting of everything that had happened, mainly because people kept asking for updates. The $400 monthly payments started arriving. Elena's sister was making them, but barely. She'd gotten a second job to cover the expense. Her fiancé left her. Apparently, discovering that his future bride had taken $14,000 without permission and gotten sued for it was a deal-breaker. Financial responsibility mattered in relationships, Marcus thought. Who knew? Elena's sister was now living with Elena in that one-bedroom apartment. 2 grown women in a one-bedroom space. Elena's mother was apparently also crashing there sometimes when she needed a break from her husband. Marcus couldn't imagine how uncomfortable that arrangement must be. Elena had paid her portion of the settlement. It took 3 payments, but she managed. The $11,000 medical bill portion was another story. She was on a payment plan with the hospital, $200 monthly for the next 4.5 years. Marcus hoped her sister's wedding memories were worth it. Elena tried to reach out twice since the divorce finalized. The first time was through a mutual friend, asking if they could talk like adults. Marcus told the friend they had talked like adults in court, with lawyers present. Very adult indeed. The second time, Elena showed up at Marcus's new apartment. He had no idea how she got his address, though he suspected her mother. Marcus didn't answer the door. He simply called the police non-emergency line and reported his ex-wife was trespassing. An officer showed up and explained Marcus could file for a restraining order if she kept appearing. Elena left immediately. Marcus hadn't heard from her since. The medical situation remained serious. Marcus's kidney had sustained permanent damage, roughly 40% function loss in the affected kidney. The other kidney was functioning normally, and his doctor assured him he could live a completely normal life with 1.5 kidneys. But it was still damage that wouldn't have happened if he'd gotten the surgery when originally scheduled instead of going septic. His doctor had been blunt during the follow-up appointment. The delay probably cost you half a kidney's function. It was a preventable outcome. Marcus had just nodded. At least Elena's sister got to tour her dream venue before losing it, he thought bitterly. Financially, Marcus was okay but not great. The divorce and lawsuit hadn't been cheap. His attorney fees totaled around $8,000. He'd recovered some through the settlement, but was still out roughly $5,000. The medical bills were on payment plans. About $7,200 remained after insurance and the settlement. He was making $300 monthly payments. But he'd kept his retirement fund, his income, and most importantly, his self-respect. Things could have been worse. Work had been understanding throughout the ordeal. Marcus had taken medical leave during the worst of it, but he was back full-time now. His boss knew the whole story. He'd called Elena, a piece of work, and bought Marcus lunch one day. Good guy, Marcus thought. The apartment was small, but it was entirely his. He'd just signed a year lease. 1 bedroom was all he needed. He got a cat and, with his dark sense of humor, named him Kidney. Therapy was helping process everything. Marcus started going after the divorce finalized. His therapist said he had every right to be angry. She also said he needed to work on not letting this experience define him. They were working on it together. The family situation had crystallized into clear camps. Elena's family hated Marcus. They'd blocked him on everything, which was fine by him. His own family thought he'd done the right thing. His brother Daniel still let him vent when needed. His parents had been horrified when they found out what happened. They'd liked Elena until the kidney stone incident. Now Marcus's mother referred to her as, "that woman who tried to kill you." A bit dramatic, Marcus thought, but he appreciated the support. Elena's sister was apparently engaged again. New guy. She'd met him at her second job. Things were moving fast. Her 4th payment was coming up. Only $13,940 left to go. Marcus hoped the new guy knew what he was getting into. Elena was still blaming Marcus for everything, according to mutual friends who still talked to both of them. She told everyone Marcus had sued her sister over a loan and destroyed their family over money. She said he'd abandoned her when she needed support. The irony was physically painful, but that was her narrative to live with. Someone had asked Marcus recently if he regretted how he'd handled everything. Would he do anything differently? Honest answer. Maybe he would have separated their finances sooner. Maybe he would have been more explicit about the emergency fund being absolutely untouchable. Maybe he would have seen the red flags about Elena putting her family above their marriage before it was too late. But filing for divorce from the hospital bed. Suing her sister. No regrets there whatsoever. They had made choices. Marcus had made choices. The courts agreed his choices were justified. You don't get to steal someone's medical money and expect them to just forgive and forget because of family. You don't get to tell your spouse to delay life-saving surgery for a party. You don't get to prioritize a wedding over your husband's kidney. And when you do those things, you don't get to play victim when consequences arrive. The wedding that never happened had cost Marcus a kidney, $8,000 in legal fees, a marriage, and probably his ability to trust people for a while. But he'd gotten his self-respect back and $14,340 in court-ordered payments. He still didn't think he came out worse in the exchange. Marcus was now living alone with a cat named Kidney, making medical payments, going to therapy, and sleeping fine at night. He knew he'd stood up for himself when it mattered most. Elena was living in a 1-bedroom apartment with her sister and occasionally her mother, making her own medical payments for the emergency she'd caused, dealing with the fact that her choice to prioritize her sister's wedding over his health had ended her marriage. Elena's sister was making $400 monthly payments to Marcus, had lost her fiancé, was working 2 jobs, and never got the dream wedding she'd helped bankrupt herself for. Sometimes the consequences of your actions are exactly as severe as you deserve. Sometimes standing up for yourself means everyone thinks you're the villain. And sometimes that's okay. Marcus was done with this chapter of his life. Time to move forward with Kidney the cat and a much better understanding of what not to tolerate in relationships. If someone ever tells you to wait for emergency surgery so their sister can have a wedding, divorce them from the hospital bed, Marcus thought. It'll save you time.